Your kids are the same way with curriculum, with the difference being that because you've stamped it school, you're going to have this wrestling match of, but you need to get this done because it's school, or we need to complete this because it's in the curriculum. I'm going to encourage you that if it's dead and boring, that you need to know that you have the ability to stop chasing the lessons, stop chasing the curriculum, and push the dead and the boring right off the proverbial cliff and replace it with other things. I was reading another book from 1915 this morning, and it's filled with where education came from and what types of education. I talk about the 3 stages of homeschool: the foundation stage, the flourishing and fun stage, and the launching stage. This book identified that the first major piece of school deals with all the way up to the early teens, which is pretty close to what it is that I'm saying when I say foundations, flourishing and fun, etc. And that once a child learns to read and you hand them literature, it's almost as if that place in their education, now they take the reins and it's theirs, right? Because they can visit faraway places and commune with voices from long, long ago and learn life lessons from all kinds of things that they can read in. So why give them dead and boring curriculum? Why give them things that have no impact on their excitement, no impact on their interest, and no purpose in helping them get to where it is they're hoping to be at the end of their homeschool career? Dead and boring. There really is not a list of things that you need to teach your kids by the time they graduate high school. This is such a revelation to people. Yes, we want them to be well educated. Yes, we want them to not just read, but to be voracious readers that are hungry for knowledge, that lean into learning, that ask a lot of questions, that see challenges as something to overcome, not as a place to quit. And the way that we can do that is to take a child that's excited to read, excited to learn, and then continue to feed them information that they're interested in. The trick is not to train them into thinking that learning is boring. And the way that the school systems are set up, there are some great schools out there and there are some fantastic teachers out there, but the school system by default is set up to bore our kids to death because they just line up all this dead, boring information and sit the kids down and feed it to them and then test them, and they're just not moving forward. So as a homeschooler, you have the ability to recognize when what you're trying to teach your child is draining the joy out of them, or if it's draining the joy out of you. They both apply. If you don't have this profound connection to what it is that you want to be teaching your kids, find something else, because you can wrap sentence structure and grammar and vocabulary around anything that you find interesting as well. So we're going through common homeschool challenges. The first one is getting those routines under control. The second one is making sure you're prioritizing your relationships. The third one is, my brain just lost it. The third one is making sure that you acknowledge the anxiety and then jump past it into the planning part of your brain. This next one is making sure that you're not just sitting there all day long with dead and boring information. And then we have lifeless. You want to look at your kids, look at your life, look at your homeschool, and make sure that you are not settling for academic looking things that are draining the life out of you and your kids. It's connected to the dead and boring common mistake or challenge from the last slide. You don't want to do things that suck the lifeblood out of your kids. Another homeschool mom that I'm chatting with right now, she's looking at Homeschooling Olympians, and her daughter hates fractions, doesn't just dislike fractions, but hates them. And just the sight of them drains everything out of her. It drains away her joy. It drains away the peace. It drains away any common decency in interaction between them. And yet she's teachable in this season of life to know that fractions are important. They're part of those basic math facts that we should master by the time we graduate. But her daughter's young, so there's no pressure to master those fractions at this stage in her education. So she can push the fractions aside on paper and deal with fractions in practicality by doing things like tripling a recipe or cutting a recipe in thirds or that kind of thing. So we want to be careful in homeschool that we don't just focus on teaching for the sake of teaching, curriculum for the sake of curriculum, scope and sequence for the sake of scope and sequence. I mean, who cares if the kids are not excited about what they're learning, if they're not engaged, if your relationships are not growing, if you don't have order, if you're not feeling peace, then these are the types of things that you can change in your homeschool just environment, so to set you up for success. So I'm going to encourage you that if you don't have a mentor that can breathe these kinds of things over you, and if you've decided to not be a homeschooling Olympian, which is what my husband and I do as life coaching for homeschoolers, I'm going to encourage you to look for somebody in your life, whether they're in your physical life, in a co-op, online, etc., somebody that has a shared vision for where it is you see your family going. What is it? What's the answer to your question? By the time the kids graduate high school, we want them to fill in the blank. Make sure that your mentor is speaking your vision over you, right? You want to be connected with your kids. You want them to know their basic math facts. You need them to fall in love with learning and to marinate them with excellent literature, because that's where vocabulary and ideas come from, right? So make sure you share the same vision as your mentor. Make sure that you can see behind the curtain at least a little bit and inspect the fruit of their life. There are a ton of homeschooling bloggers and coaches out there, and there's nothing wrong with any of them, but some of them still have very young children. It's very easy to homeschool a kindergartner. And I say this with full respect. It's very easy to educate a kindergartner, to do homeschool when the kids are little. It's a very different thing when that kindergartner turns 9, 10, 11, 12, gets hormonal, and then things start to fly, and then gets this grand vision, right? You want somebody that's further ahead than you are right now, that can say, even though I'm not all the way through, this is what I did. This is how I navigated. So you need to be able to see the fruit on their tree. Ideally, you want to find somebody that can see the whole journey and is not completely detached from it. One of the things that I love about me is that not only are we done with homeschooling, so we've successfully launched all 5 of our kids, but because I've been life coaching homeschoolers for a decade, I still have my hands in all of the stages of homeschooling. So kindergarten is not that far removed from me, because yes, I remember my own journey, but I'm coaching moms and have been coaching moms that have kindergartners or 4th graders or high schoolers or kids that are getting ready to go to college. Again, it's not about me. Make sure that you pick your mentors very, very carefully, because you're going to take on their characteristics. You're going to at least consider their beliefs and their ways, and you want to make sure that they're a good fit for you. Make sure that they are not just giving you a whole bunch of stuff. It shouldn't be all about curriculum and worksheets and lesson plans and activities. It should be golden nuggets that you grab and you take and you go, oh, I'm going to carry that one forever. So make sure that they're spitting gold at you. And again, make sure that they're further ahead than you are in the whole journey. So Homeschooling Olympians is our master program. And of course, I forgot to actually do the link. The way that you would find it is you'd go to homeschoolingolympians.com. And at the top of the page, whether you're on cell or mobile or regular page, there's a spot up there that says Start Here. When you click on Start Here, you're looking for Homeschooling Olympians. So with that said, I am going to open it up to questions if you are on. Does anybody have any questions about routine? And I know that right now this is being recorded live. So when you watch this as a replay, at this moment in the video, if you have questions about routine, this is where you would drop it. And then I will circle back later and I will be able to answer your questions specifically. So I'm just going to pause just for a second, even though I think people are going to come back later. So routines, any questions? Relationships. Relationships can get complicated by changing in scenario. I have one mom that I am working with that she's moved 5 times in the last year. So that creates quite a hiccup with not only routine, but relationships. So do you have any questions about relationships and how you can lean into things with your kids? This is where you'll drop those questions right here. Anxiety is a big one. Oh, I cannot tell you how many of the conversations I have with homeschoolers that are focused around anxiety. But it's not that they're feeling anxious, is that they're looking at that feeling rather than what it is that they're doing. And the lack of focus is what causes the anxiety. So it's important that you can look at it, feel the feeling, but then let the feeling get to the planning part of your brain or the logical part of your brain. And now take a good look and say, oh, I'm anxious. Like when I dropped off my youngest son, we dropped off our youngest son at college. I looked at him and I thought, oh no, I don't think he's ready for university level classes. That anxiousness was, I don't know if I did enough, which then it went to the planning part of the logical part of my brain, which said he has all of the skills that he needs in order to thrive. He knows how to plan. He knows how to ask professors for help. He knows how to go to tutor centers. He knows my phone number. He knows his dad's phone number. He knows how to connect with other people. He has everything he needs to succeed. So the ball's in his court now because he needs to want it enough to actually chase after it. So identify your anxiety, feel it, and then form a plan. So if anybody has questions about anxiety, anxious thoughts, right here. And you can always, when I'm done, I will drop the link to my calendar. If you want to book a time with me to chat things through, don't hesitate to do that. Dead and boring and lifeless lessons. These come at you very specifically when you're too curriculum focused, too lesson focused. And these are fun to troubleshoot. These are fun to chat through for me. I love to talk about these topics specifically because it's just not the point. The curriculum, page 47, lesson unit number 12, has nothing to do with properly and successfully educating our kids. And that's really good news. So any questions about dead, boring, or lifeless lessons, you would drop them here. If you are in need of a mentor, do not hesitate to look at me and say, she's not a good fit. Unsubscribe, unfollow, goodbye. Or, hey, I really think she's quirky and she has been further down the road than I am. I think I'm going to look at Homeschooling Olympians and see if it's a good fit for me. So if you don't have a mentor, if you're not connecting with me, you will not offend me by saying, Bekki, who else is out there? And I can point you in the direction of other homeschool mentors that have experience that they can feed into you and help you along the way as well. Just make sure that your mentor has the shared vision and that you can see the fruit on their life, that they speak gold over you, and that they leave you very clear footsteps in the snow for you to follow. It is so important that you pay attention to who it is that you're listening to and who you're following, because you're going to end up going in that direction anyway. So other than that, Homeschooling Olympians is here for you. If you don't have any questions, so I'm just going to go up to the comment. I'm not seeing any questions. So that's all that I had for you today. 5 common homeschool challenges. Which ones are you struggling with? I would love to hear. Continue the conversation. Oops, I'm seeing a comment pop in. I'm new. I'm new to Bekki as my mentor, but I do encourage everyone to get a mentor. But just has said, ask questions about the mentor. If they push for a fast decision, be wary. Oh my gosh. Okay, read that again. So I stumbled on it because my phone went off at the same time. This is gold right here. Everybody should have mentors. It's important. It's so important. But you want the ability to ask questions, to see behind the curtain, and to not feel pressured. There are mentors out there like me that have this as a part of their business. This is what I do on the side. I am a homeschooling life coach. That means what I do behind the scenes is not free, but you should never feel pressured by anybody to make fast decisions about anything, about doing or not doing curriculum, about changing or not changing routine. You should never feel judged about how you are managing your life, or how you're managing your life, what your curriculum choices are, how long your homeschool day is. Nothing. There's never feel rushed. Never let yourself feel rushed. I know that I got through homeschooling for a few reasons, or there's a few people that breathed over me that helped me still get to the place at the end where I'm still smiling. The first one was my husband, who tricked me into homeschooling. And if he's watching this, I love you. He decided that homeschooling was what our kids were going to do. And I said no, because I'm such a good wife. I said no, because that would make them weird. And he said, Bekki, just give it a try for a year, but do your best. And if at the end of the year we hate it, we'll do something else. Well, of course, I fell in love with being the one that got to experience seeing light bulbs come on with my kids. And we just never looked back. That was 25 years ago. So he was my first mentor. My second mentor came in the form of a gal that was a little bit further ahead than me. Her son is 1 year older than some of the kids that we were bringing home to homeschool. And she was a former kindergarten teacher. And I learned about routines from her. She, even in her house, had things set up like kindergarten playstations, not in a crazy way, but she just had this, beautiful system in her house. She had nap times budgeted in. She taught her kids how to do independent play. And then she had like a book station and a Lego station. And I gleaned that from her. My next set of mentors came with that person, connected me with a group of homeschool moms. They were like the cool girls club. And I was never a cool girl in school. So when I got invited in, oh my gosh, I felt like I had won the lottery. We got together for a year or two. Every Friday, we had prayer and play dates. And one of these women, so brilliant. 3 of them were ex-classroom teachers. One of them is the one that taught me that shirts have four sides: a front, a back, an inside front, and an inside back. Brilliant. Another one was extremely organized, but they all approached homeschooling. They were a few years further down the road than me. We shared curriculum. That was the season that we all bought different core sets of the Sunlight curriculum, and then we just swapped them around for a few years. But they taught me that no one particular lesson makes or breaks education, and that the difference between getting it done today and tomorrow is completely negligible. It was such a beautiful season. So the progression, I then moved to a different location. We got connected into a charter school because I've done it all. Public school in a box, written my own curriculum, and everything in between. Charter schools, umbrella schools, completely on my own. Just an amazing journey. When I went in this one season with all of our kids, we all moved. The kids went to a charter school. That's where I met Miss Frizzle from the Magic School Bus series. She's just like that in real life. She hair all over the place and would wear the clothes that were whatever the lesson was of the day. She taught me how to do thematic learning and how you can take a golden thread of something like Native American history and then wrap everything around it, so much so that the kids don't even know that they're learning. So the point is, whoever said this, that it's so important that you ask questions and you find a good mentor, but that you never, ever feel rushed. This one says, my roast, of course, got done right when you started. I will have to watch the beginning later. You've been a good mentor for me as well. Aw, yay. I hope I didn't say anything that was offensive to you. This one, I had a horrible experience when pressured to make a fast decision about someone's coaching. This person was not completely honest in selling her program. Bekki gives you the opportunity to talk to her and make sure that she's the right fit. She will tell you if she does not think you need her full program. Amazing mentor. Whoever said that, thank you. I'm not going to sell squat to anybody that doesn't need it. I just won't. It's so important that you like your mentor and that you connect with your mentor. I learned this lesson, and it doesn't even matter how much your mentor's programs cost. Here's why. Here's what I learned. When you know that they're the person that you need to connect with, you don't even hesitate. You're like, take my money, teach me. I know this because my husband and I just rebuilt our Homeschooling Olympians platform, taking 25 years and condensing it down. We're almost done. There's still a couple things that we're fixing. But in that process, I reached out and I got mentors that helped me in different ways. I got a mentor that I was able to, they walked me step by step on the platform. Here's how you make this page. Here's how you put the image. Here's how you do that. This last mentor, I can't afford her stuff. She's $16,000. But I can tell you, when I looked at that, I didn't say, $16,000, what a rip. I went, where can I get $16,000? Because I need her coaching. It's not a money issue. When you find somebody that speaks to you and sees you and can condense their experience down into golden nuggets, I'm telling you, just jump at the opportunity, because you save time and money and energy. But don't ever feel pressured by me, or if anybody else makes you feel pressured, just run away. Just run away. So all of these things are common. I need you guys to understand that we all go through the same journey. We go through the same speed bumps in homeschool, but maybe at different opportunities or different places along the way. Our routines really hit us in the face the first year that we're homeschooling. If we're not naturally organized, if we don't already kind of run through a flow in our day, it's extremely humbling to realize that the person that's in charge of cooking, cleaning, laundry, teaching, errands, and making sure the library books get back to the library without charging fees is you. It's like, what do you mean I have to do all of it? And then the kids just have their own idea of when they want to wake. I wanted to wrap up and say thank you for joining us. That we went through 5 homeschool challenges. The first one, routine, relationships, anxiety. The next 2 are kind of interconnected. We've got the dead and the boring curriculum and things that are lifeless that suck the joy out of you and your kid's life. And we talked a lot about making sure that you find homeschool mentors that can lead you along the way. I would love to hear back from you which one of these areas resonated with you. And if there's anything that we can do to help you in your homeschool journey, we would love that and count it a privilege to come alongside you. Go to homeschoolingolympians.com, click at the tab on the top of the page that says Start Here, and then you will see the different programs that we have. Specifically look for Homeschooling Olympians, and there's a way to connect with me in there so that I can get a sneak peek inside of your homeschool and breathe encouragement over you, even if Homeschooling Olympians is not for you at this time. So again, my name is Bekki with A Better Way to Homeschool. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining.